Stuck in quarantine with my cheating wife, a pandemic nightmare. I've been contemplating whether or not to share this story, and while it may be a few years old now, I feel it's finally time to release it from my conscience. At the time, I was a 30-year-old married man, happily committed to my wife, Sarah, not her real name. We had spent 6 years together, sharing adventures, meals, and quality time every night. However, in 2019, I began noticing some subtle signs that, in hindsight, should have alerted me that something was amiss. It started when I had to attend a work conference that required an overnight stay, the first time I had been away from home without her. Sarah immediately suggested that her friend, Mark, not his real name, who she had close ties with, including a past romantic involvement, could come and stay over during my absence. Though I firmly declined the idea, pointing out the irregularity of his visits throughout our entire relationship, she reluctantly respected my wishes, or so I believed, based on the security camera footage. There were other instances that gave me pause, but to save time, I'll move forward. Fast forward to the end of 2019, when Sarah and I found ourselves in a movie theater. During the film, I noticed her continuously sending messages to someone on her Apple Watch, a behavior she rarely exhibited. While I couldn't recall the exact content of the messages, they seemed more intimate than one would typically exchange with a coworker from her new job, though not overtly romantic. After the movie, I questioned her about it, and she dismissed my concerns. However, her behavior started to change afterward, sitting away from me on the couch, changing in a different room, and other oddities. This made me wonder if she was cheating on me or hiding something from me. The guilt of considering checking her phone for confirmation consumed me. If I were mistaken, I believed that continuing the marriage would become pointless. After days of internal struggle, I made the decision to check her phone in January 2020. Her phone was always close by and locked with a passcode I didn't know. Thankfully, her Apple Watch was accessible, and to my bitter irony, she had set the code as our anniversary. What I discovered next was unimaginable. Sarah and Mark discussing her encounters with a coworker while mocking me for being oblivious. They belittled the idea of me touching her, and she expressed her inability to fathom having children with me, despite our attempts in mid-2019, which was particularly painful. Then I stumbled upon messages between Sarah and the coworker, Carl, not his real name, that were explicit and indicated her greater affection for him compared to our relationship. Each message brought forth a new revelation, adding to the excruciating pain. I learned that a trip she claimed was for consoling a friend was, in truth, an opportunity for that friend to meet Carl. I discovered that she started changing in the bathroom to hide hickeys on her body. She even shared that her therapist was aware of everything and believed I should know the truth, but also suggested she should pursue her own happiness. That night, I stayed up until the early hours, reading the messages and capturing screenshots of everything. I couldn't sleep. The tension in my jaw caused issues for months. The following morning, Sarah left for work, and my immediate action was to contact a lawyer. I needed guidance on my options and what to say or not say when confronting her legally. I anxiously awaited her return, reviewing the messages repeatedly to verify that this nightmare wasn't just a terrible dream. And when I finally confronted her, I disclosed what I knew without revealing the extent of my invasion of privacy. I mentioned noticing a hickey, a lie, but she had mentioned it in the messages, and that I knew she had been frequently texting someone. Sarah tried to lie, arguing that the hickey came from someone else, but her true self was exposed when I read a message from her watch. I anticipated her breaking down and confessing, but instead, she responded with explosive rage, accusing me of violating her privacy. The sheer insanity and gaslighting, painting me as the villain, astounded me. She stormed out of the house, disappearing for 3 days without any communication about her whereabouts, even though I had asked her to inform me to ensure her safety. Even now, I only have minimal knowledge of where she went or what she did during that time. When she finally returned, she expressed her desire to work things out and spend more time together, but it only created more strife. I caught her sneaking off to meet Carl again, as she carelessly left her watch behind, allowing me to read her real-time messages. In February 2020, I informed her that I had consulted with a lawyer. She insisted on attending couples counseling before signing any divorce papers. Although I entertained the idea, it quickly derailed when she argued that my choice of words, affair, was too strong. She also lied about cheating on me before Carl, engaging in a relationship with a married man, an uncomfortable truth I discovered later when revisiting her watch. She admitted her plan had been to find an apartment and present me with divorce papers, without me knowing what was happening. She even tried to shift blame for the affair onto me, using minor disagreements as evidence of my supposedly cold and uncaring nature. For instance, not immediately expressing anger at my parents for a Christmas gift she disliked or at her parents when they playfully teased her. At that point, the decision was made. I had to divorce her because she would never tell the truth. We agreed that Sarah would move out of our house, and I even assisted her in finding an apartment to expedite her departure. In March 2020, as the virus began spreading, all construction work ceased, and her apartment wasn't ready. She had nowhere else to go. Between March and June 2020, I was compelled to live with her under the same roof, enduring months of the pandemic in each other's presence. To clarify, she possessed enough legal knowledge to understand that leaving would complicate her case and potentially force her to pay expenses. Those grueling 3 months were pure torment. Trying to perform my job while residing with the person who had betrayed and ridiculed me was unbearable at times. We attempted to maintain civility, avoiding screaming matches at every chance encounter. Imagine spending 90 days cooking meals, silently passing by, and feeling like the only two people left in the world were the person who ended your marriage and broke your heart. Every day, I locked myself in a room for 8 hours, engaging in yard work or exercising just to avoid interacting.